I know there's meaning behind that. Like, partner me to run with a burden is
Yeah.
a guy that is hard to move sometimes.
That's right.
You feel like you're carrying a burden all
Yeah.
the time.
And I'll speak a little bit about that.
Okay.
Oh, you want to do it?
Sure, take the floor.
Jump on in. Jump on in. Yeah.
Please.
You're good.
Please, help a girl out.
Actually, I have some notes that tell me how to do this workout.
I hand over the way.
But April is Parkinson's Disease Awareness Month, and that's why they're doing the workout this way. The purpose is really just to bring awareness about the disease to the community, and we've achieved that goal. I started primarily with like doing a Facebook, social media kind of promotion, and next thing we knew, we had word of mouth. We had affiliates all over the world. We have 2 affiliates in the UK. We found out one was already doing CrossFit classes for Parkinson's disease individuals. We had one in, I think it was in Bainbridge Island, Washington, that contacted us. His mother was just diagnosed with Parkinson's and been doing CrossFit now for 6 years. And just this week, I had a 33-year-old affiliate owner in Iowa contact us, and she was diagnosed with Parkinson's. So the Parkinson's Foundation is also participating. Michael J. Fox is more about doing research to cure the disease, but the Parkinson's Foundation is promoting like education, and they have a whole focus on the benefits of exercise in Parkinson's. And they started a group in Atlanta called Parkinson's, the PD Gladiators, is what it's called, PD Gladiators. They hold classes around Atlanta. It's kind of right here in Atlanta. So getting awareness has really worked, and one of the things we want to do today is take some videos, pictures, and then we can send those to the Parkinson's Foundation. They'll put them on their Facebook page as well as Instagram. They posted the workout earlier, and there were 14,000 reactions to that. So they have a huge following, you know, and when the community sees that we're doing these kinds of things, it's really impactful. So kind of the way I got involved in this was and growing up, I knew people that had Parkinson's, but I didn't know a single thing about it. And then I'd say around 2000, a good friend of mine was diagnosed. And I knew then that there were some drugs he had to take, and I knew he was trying to do some exercise program to help with it. But I really didn't know anything else about it. And then in my gym, a little small 400 square foot barn with insects, we had another person come to our gym. And he walks in one day and says he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And they isolated it to Agent Orange in Vietnam. He was a Purple Heart recipient. And probably the strongest guy in our gym. I think, what does he weigh? 185 pounds, and does like a 400-pound deadlift, that kind of strength. And so what happened is I found out he was going to the very same doctor as my other friend here in Atlanta at Emory University. So I got introduced to this community that really Emory's one of the leading research institutions on this disease and what they call movement disorders in the United States. And so through this guy, my friend Joey Mason, I was introduced to this Dr. Hunkos. That was the doctor. And every time my friend would come back to having seen him, he would say his symptoms had decreased. And I'm like, what? You know, I didn't know how they were measuring that. I didn't know anything. Then I found out that through Joey Mason's physical therapist, they were both serving on the board of PD Gladiators, whose, as I mentioned, their mission is to promote exercise. And so just getting exposed to them, I went to listen to Dr. Hunkos do a speech. And I swear, he said, if you're diagnosed with PD, you should do exercise first. You should do functional movements with constant variation at high intensity. And he used the word intensity. He didn't use vigorous. He said intensity. I'm like, my God, that's exactly like CrossFit's message. And so I was talking to Dr. Hunkos, and PD Gladiators is right here in Atlanta. They do classes, but they really don't have an ability to scale it. So I started saying, well, perhaps we could use the CrossFit community, the 15,000 affiliates could be an avenue to try to expose and have classes for people with this disease, because people with movement disorders, you can have older people could have movement disorders too. It doesn't have to be limited to this. It's actually quite a large group. So we kind of started that discussion, and I thought, well, I'm going to call some people and see if they have any anecdotal stories of like CrossFit affiliates that are working with PD people. And the first person I called was Dr. Buck. Does anybody know Dr. Buck in Tennessee? You gotta look him up. So he's got an arm. So that was neat. And I was at a certification class here in Atlanta, CrossFit certification, and a guy needed a ride. I gave him a ride back, and he was a neurosurgeon that went to Dr. Buck's gym. And I knew from that that they primarily had the medical community that were their members. So I called Dr. Buck and I said, do you have any experience with people with PD? I'm interested in that. He said, listen, you're going to get a call from a guy named Michael Janis from headquarters, and he's going to do a video. I said, so Michael calls me, he says, hey, how many members do you have? I said, on a good day, we have like 6. So he said, well, look, maybe I'll do a video of you. Why don't you contact this guy, Dr. Livingston, in Panama City? So I did. And Dr. Livingston goes to CrossFit Battleship there in Panama City. He's had Parkinson since 2001. He'll be doing this workout today with Parkinson's. And you'll notice, if you ever see the video, we have a website for this called Push for Parkinson's, and there's a video of him. And you'll see he'll stop like this, right? So that's a common symptom, is it's called freezing, right? So when people freeze, there's a tendency to fall. And so falling is one of the big things that happens with Parkinson's. Fear of falling is a big problem. And but probably the biggest issue with people with Parkinson's, there are all these other symptoms besides just the impact on their movement. Depression, anxiety, sleep, and they become very isolated. And that's one of the things that I felt was the biggest benefit of exposing them to CrossFit. And I've seen that with Dr. Livingston, is that just coming into this community in the supportive nature really helps them feel like they're normal. They can get out. Just a little bit about Parkinson's. There are about 1.5 million people with Parkinson's in the U.S., 10 million in the world. The incidence is about 60,000 a year. They expect that to double by the year 2030. They don't really know what causes it. It's 1.5 times more likely it's a man than a woman, but it's not really. In some cases, it's hereditary, and if it's hereditary, it tends to surface with people that are younger. But it's caused by things like toxins. They don't really know what causes it. But the incidence is huge. It's all over the place, and people just kind of withdraw from society. And so, what's the benefit here? What they have done, most of the research right now is not really, even though Michael J. Fox is trying to cure it. The philosophy is slow down the progression. And they've found, and they have the research to back it up, that doing these high-intense workouts slows the progression significantly, as you can see evidence with guys like Jeff. So I just felt like it was a real tight connection to CrossFit. And that's what we're trying to do, is just build that. We started, the way it happened is, he asked me, Jeff said, would you do the FoxWOD? I said, sure. Hey, Travis, would you do this? And he said, yeah. And then I called my friend Dan McDougall, who started CrossFit Atlanta. I said, Dan, would you help? He said, yeah. So he gets CrossFit Atlanta. So then we find out, there's a guy at CrossFit Canton, Tim Jordan, who's a young man, and he's got PD, and CrossFit Canton jumped on board. So we had like 4. We had 4 group, so we start taking, I took responsibility for getting a page up to get registrations going, and now we have 14 affiliates participating in it. And it, by the way, it's growing every day. So, so again, thanks for coming out and doing it. I'm going to try to explain this workout again.